Good evening. My name is Carl Glad. I'm the chair of the council, and I will be calling the public forum to order at exactly 6 o'clock. The clerk has the list. If you have not already done so, please add your name to that so that we may call you to speak. For those of you who have not done this before, we ask when you come up after I read your name that you please state your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will keep the time, and once the time expires, please stop and let the next person move on to their turn. All right, seeing names, we will start with Jim Simon.
Hi, James Simon, 82 Meadowmere Road. I'd like to talk a little bit about what's on your new business agenda for tonight, the establishment of council committees. I was looking at your agenda carefully. I was looking at the Building Needs Committee. There are 3 council members on the committee under your proposal, and 4 members of the public, Dan Senft, Bob DiLorenzo, Len Petroselli, and Rich Fredette. I'm one of the registrars of voters in town, so I have access to voter registration records, and I note that Dan Senft is a Republican, Bob DiLorenzo is a Republican, Len Petroselli is a Republican, and Rich Fredette's a Republican. I went on to the Public Safety Committee, where I believe there are 3 members from the council and 6 members from the public. The 6 members, again, are Republican Chris Ciulli, Republican James Duffy, Republican Bill Perillo, Republican John Dobis, Republican Jim Wiltsey, and Dave Hardin, who I think has been a Republican as well as a Democrat. I wanted to go on to the confirmation of mayoral appointments, but actually the names aren't listed, so I was at a disadvantage in trying to track them down. I bring this up because Stratford has a sorry history with both political parties over the last 30 years of using these council committees not to kind of get the best people in town to help advise the council, but it's kind of a farm system, a minor league to train people to eventually run for the town council in the future. You folks have a chance to change that. Hopefully with this 5-5 split, you have the spirit of bipartisanship among all of you. You can try to get away from stacking these committees with people only from one political party, because it really stinks. People often tease me because I have a PhD in public administration. I've taught courses in how to run governments at the university level. There could be an entire chapter on how Stratford has manipulated the system in the past. You folks have a chance to kind of create a new chapter in that kind of book, and I urge you to do that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. I appreciate your comments. Next on the list is Sonia Devitt.
Excuse me. My name is Sonia Devitt, and I live at 545 Hilltop Drive in Stratford. And I'm here on the same item that Mr. Simon spoke to. But first, I'd like to say Happy New Year. You know, it is a good New Year, and we can make it a really good one for the whole year. The reason I'm here is looking at the agenda online for the meeting tonight, and a couple other things. I was very concerned. It's sort of a matter of disappointment and concern, and that is that of the members of the electorate of a number of the committees that you are establishing, very crucial committees in town, which have matters of policy involved as well as mechanics and things. Almost all of them that I know of are virtually Republicans. And this is from the electorate. We're not talking about council members. That's up to you. You're elected, you have a certain proportion on the council, and you have to interact with each other, and I'm less concerned about a majority of council that are Republicans. After all, there's a majority of Republicans on the council. What concerns me is the electorate. I'm of the electorate. A lot of people. I used to be on the Democratic Town Committee. I am not currently, and shall not be in the near future. But my concern is the matters that you're dealing with need a whole host of perspectives. They need the input of people with a lot of different ideas. and then you work at getting the best from that. And to constitute crucial committees in town with only or almost only persons from one registered voting perspective is not, it's not smart, and it's not good government. The more diversity you've got coming as you explore issues and opportunities and things, the better we do things, the more ideas we have, the better perspective. We may not always be right, and the majority opinion of the registered party may be turn out to be the best one, but it isn't good government, and it's not fair to the people of Stratford to only take persons from primarily one registered party. Get some independents and unaffiliated in there also. I know my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Devitt. Seeing no other speakers, we will adjourn the public forum. Good evening. My name is Carl Glad. I'm the chair of the Stratford Town Council, and I call this meeting to order at exactly 7 o'clock. We'll start with the invocation and pledge. We'll go around the council. So this month, we'll start with the first district, Mr. O'Connor.
This is an Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the tabled item, adoption of rules of procedure, proposed rules as tabled on 12/11/23, appended to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move to take the proposed rules of procedure as tabled at the 12/11/23 Town Council meeting off the table for discussion.
I'll second that.
We have Mr. Aurelia moving to remove take the rules of procedure off the table, seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any, there's no discussion, sorry. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Is there any opposed? The ayes have it. It's a unanimous vote. The rules of procedure are now before the council.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve and accept the Stratford Town Council Rules of Order as per the 6-page separate rules that were issued with our agendas.
I'll second that.
Mr. Llewellyn has moved to amend the rules and substitute with the rules as appended to the agenda, and Ms. Whittam has seconded that.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake.
Thank you. On the packet is not labeled, but on page 6, which is the last page, second paragraph, line 12, this process of council rules, before I would like to offer an amendment, has been a process that I myself as the Democrat Party leader and Mr. Llewellyn as the Republican Party leader has been going back and forth, and with you, Chairman Glad, on trying to come up with a compromise on the council rules. The aim and goal of the Democrats with this new council, and me as the the returning counselor with this new group, was an emphasis on having the public comment be modified to include that we as the counselors would be able to respond to the public after they finish their public comment, or one of the suggestions during our negotiations is the amendment that I would like to offer, which is not included in this final packet. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer an amendment, second paragraph, line 12, to add, the council chair, in their sole discretion, can request a response to public comment by the appropriate council member if present.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Shake has introduced an amendment to the amendment. She described that it's been seconded by Mr. Green. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Avilia?
So I've thought, I'm new to the council, thought about this responding to the public comment issue a lot. So I thought it would come up. And I'm not sure that it's doing that is the most effective or efficient way to respond to the public. When I'm answering questions myself, I like to be thoughtful, I like to be accurate, and I think that responding at the public forum immediately to those issues, I don't see myself being either of those all the time, and I'm not sure it puts us in a great position. I know that the public can reach us through our emails, through the council clerk's office. I also know that the history has been that town staff has reached out to people that have spoken at the forums to try to resolve issues. Many of the issues we're going to face don't really have anything to do with us. It's going to be a town staff issue. So in that regard, I'm against amending the rules from what was proposed, because I just don't think it puts us in a good position to be answering those questions off the top of our heads. That's my opinion.
Mr. Green?
Having been, before being elected, a member of the public, attending a number of these public comment sessions, the reason that I and the other Democrats thought that this is a reasonable thing that we've heard a lot of people ask for is because if we don't have the full information, we certainly would be free to tell the person that and say we will get back to them, hopefully publicly. I find in the past a habit of hearing that we're going to email that one person an answer that if it's asked in public comment, many people may want to know. So giving us at least the opportunity and not have it be restricted and letting the chair make the judgment about whether or not it's appropriate to answer seemed like a reasonable halfway point, and that's why we'd proposed this motion.
Is there any other discussion?
Just a reply.
Mr. Avilia?
Yeah, I understand some of that. I'm just concerned. Again, I like to be thoughtful, complete, and concise in my answers. And without having the benefit of consulting with town staff or peers or checking the record, I'd be hesitant to be answering questions at the open forum. So again, that's my opinion on that. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Shake? Ms. Shake, sorry.
Thank you. Just to respond to Councilor Aurelia's questions and concerns, and those are valid. That's why we get to have the discussion at this point. The language that we had come to a thoughtful compromise on was the word discretion. And that is because it is the chair who, in this negotiations back and forth, would hold the ability to discern if the person who is at the podium is truly inquiring with an issue where one of the staff is the appropriate person to answer, then there would be no direct response at the time. If there is a person that is directing a question of their district where they're inquiring, maybe they've emailed, whatever the case may be, maybe it's the first time that the person is bringing it to our attention, that the council person will have the opportunity to at least acknowledge publicly. And yes, we will go through the process of emailing, including town personnel in the full response, but in the moment where people have changed their schedules, they've gotten childcare, and they've made an effort to come down here to address the council in person, to be able to acknowledge what it is that they're saying. So again, with the language choice, the word choice of discretion of the chair to have the ability to make that decision. The other instance, just so that the public understands, of with the word discretion was because if there are 50 people here signed up for public comment, it will not be, a full 60 minutes will go to the public comment. We may not have the opportunity because time will run out to be able to respond. So that again would be a situation where at the discretion of the chair to say that there is no response from the town council at this time so that we can get through all of the public comment. It's flexible language and it gives the opportunity for our chairman, Mr. Glad, to make that decision. So I figured we'd try one more time to try and put it in. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate everybody sharing.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we would vote on the amendment to the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Right, okay.
Opposed, sorry.
Opposed. Right, chair is opposed. The nays have it. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote then.
Mr. O'Connor,
Opposed to the amendment.
Mr. Green,
In favor? Aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Gibson, Mr. Afriyie,
Aye.
Ms. Whittam,
Nay.
Ms. Shake,
Yes.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Opposed?
Mr. Aurelia,
Opposed.
Chairman Glad.
Opposed. We have a 5-5 split then. Okay, so the motion fails. We now move on to vote on the amendment as was proposed. So all in favor of the rules as amended, vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed?
No.
We're going to take a roll call vote on that then.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson, Mr. Afriyie,
No.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad.
Aye.
6-4.
All right, the vote is 6-4 in favor. The rules have been adopted. All right. We move on to the next item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes from the special meeting of December 11th, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes of the special meeting of December 11th, 2023.
I second that motion.
Ms. Whittam has moved to approve the minutes. Mr. Affray has seconded that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. We next move on ceremonial presentations and awards. There are none. Move to agenda item number 3, communications, bills, petitions. There are none, so we move on to agenda item number 4, mayor's report. Question for the mayor, town attorneys. Madam Mayor, I turn over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So happy New Year, happy 2024 to everyone. I hope you had a good holiday. Martin Luther King Day, we're joining Sterling House on Monday, January 15th to honor and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast performance and 2 panel discussions, history and reflection, and empowering our youth and future. Community activity will also be at the Baldwin Center from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Call Sterling House or email them if you'd like to register. So our department heads are here in attendance this evening. Department tours and meetings with the directors are available to you. please reach out to my office, either emailing me at mayor@townofstratford.com or my Chief of Staff, Sarah Matthews, at smatthews@townofstratford.com to schedule a tour and a meeting. She's here tonight if you have any questions and you want to share the dates and times that work for your schedule. As a general communication protocol throughout your term, if you need assistance for any constituent services or questions regarding departments, please reach out to my office directly. We will then disseminate the information requests to the appropriate departments and provide updates and answers accordingly. So I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce those in attendance. There's Chris Timniak, who's the Chief Administrative Officer. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. Sarah Matthews, my Chief of Staff. Ron Ing, our HR Director and also our Risk Management Director. Dawn Sabo is our Finance Director. Larry Ciccarelli is the Public Safety Director. Police Chief McNeil, Joe McNeil. Fire Chief Jermaine Atkinson. EMS Director Mike Louise. Assistant Dispatch Superintendent Heather Adams. Andrea Bosfain, our Health Director. Mary Dean is our Community and Economic Development Director. Tama Trojanowski is the Director of Community and Senior Services. And then also present here today are Molly Ryan, who works in my office. She's the Constituent Services Coordinator and our grant writer. Ty Sims is here. She's going to be talking about a grant program, our program coordinator from South End Community Center. And Chelsea Kordiak, who's the Assistant Director of Community and Senior Services. I think I've got everybody, right? Okay, yes. So thanks for joining us. Oh, I didn't see Renee. I'm sorry, Renee, I didn't see you. Then someone who's very important, and we just experienced how important she is, Renee Sarah is our Public Works Director. Thank you for pointing that out to me, Chief. These individuals are very, very accomplished, and I feel very fortunate that they work with us to improve Stratford. And I encourage you all to get to know them, get to know what their departments do, because it's really important to the functioning of our community. Speaking of departments, so we'll start with the Health Department. With the recent uptick in reported flu cases and hospitalizations for people with the flu, the Health Department is holding flu clinics each and every Tuesday in January. The 9th, which was today, the 16th, the 23rd, which is tomorrow, the 23rd, and the 30th, from 1 to 4. No appointments are necessary. Free COVID kits are also available while they last at the Health Department. And the Health Department staff is participating in regional preparedness tabletop exercise focused on standing up a virtual and or physical volunteer reception center. Such a center would allow volunteers to be processed, receive in-time training, would receive just in-time training, managed and assigned accordingly in the event for a large-scale mass casualty. Community and Senior Services, AARP, is offering free income tax preparation by appointment at the Baldwin Center through the middle of April. The IRS VITAS free income tax preparation for individuals and families earning less than $60,000 a year is offered at the South End Community Center by appointment through the beginning of April. For households struggling with energy bills, call the Baldwin Center for information and eligibility about the CT Energy Assistance Program, Energize Connecticut, and Operation Fuel Winter Assistance. The Stratford Youth and Family Partnership is sponsoring a free LGBTQIA+ 101 training on January 17th from 6 to 7 with educator and community organizer Justin Ziegler. A follow-up training, LGBTQIA+ 201, will be held on February 8th from 6 to 7. Both trainings will be held at the Birdseye Municipal Complex. Please reach out to James Olson, Prevention Coordinator, with any questions. And if you'd like to RSVP, James can take that information for you. Public Safety provided a pizza and public safety program at Baldwin Center on December 6th to a large and engaged audience. The presentation encompassed proper use of 911, dealing with scams, and automobile safety. The presenters included Public Safety Director Larry Ciccarelli, Police Captain Bobby Burrows, Assistant Chief James Buck, Fire Chief James Buck, Superintendent of Dispatch J.P. Trzynski. Future presentations are planned to be held at the library in Oronoque Village. Under our Economic Development Department regarding the Army Engine Plant, we are meeting with the developer Point Stratford Renewal next week to obtain an update on the status of the conveyance, along with the Environmental Services Cooperative Agreement between the Army and the developer, allowing PSR to manage the remediation of the mudflats simultaneously with the upland remediation, and therefore it would speed up the project to a 2-year time frame once the conveyance occurs. Contract Planning, the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development is providing funding for the removal of the waste stockpiles and for further remediation requirements and expenses, which was recently completed by the environmental engineering firm HRP Associates. The town will next analyze this information and will pursue development of the property. Complete Streets Phase 1 and the Greenway Project is currently underway along Main Street, Harvey Place to Academy Hill through West Broad Street. Zoning regulations and update and rewrite. You can view the zoning and planning promotional videos on the town website. Zoning is working on the rewrites and will reach out to the community for roundtable workshops sometime in February or March. The Community and Economic Development Commission released a new video preparing for progress on Stratford's infrastructure improvements surrounding the new development projects. The video can also be seen on the town website or on the Economic Development page under Economic Development YouTube channel. We had a few ribbon cuttings in December. TD Vietnam, 2505 Main Street has new owners, and that we celebrated them on December 12th. We also celebrated the new PAL building, the Police Activities League building at Police Headquarters, with a ribbon cutting on December 19th. It's been a labor of love, but we're happy it's open. And X-Golf, owned by Golf Affinity LLC, 345 Hawley Lane, North Town Center. A ribbon cutting will be held on January 11th at 4 p.m. We have some new businesses in town, G&G Deli and Convenience Store. They recently opened at 1605 Stratford Avenue. They are across from Two Roads, and they just got their wine and beer license approval from zoning. Blend's Juice Bar is opening at 1400 West Broad Street, and the owner is El Sol. And former Wade's Garage on 2370 Stratford Avenue will be opening as a gas station and mini mart. The Real Convenience Store, 2408 Main Street, the former Da Vinci Studio, is happening in Stratford Center. Foodie's Cookbook Shop, 3548 Main Street, is Paradise Green. And Daycare Center on 429 Soundview Avenue. We had several commercial projects and new construction on 815 Wood End Road, construction of 25,000 square feet, pre-lease build to suit for a Roto-Rooter staff training center. 1265 West Broad Street, construction of a 230,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility. 725 Barnum Avenue Cutoff, construction of 100 exterior access self-storage units. That's already in the existing self-storage facility. 350 Lordship Boulevard, construction of nearly 116,000 self-storage building, and that is the last one approved. After that, there's been a moratorium. 7050 Main Street, construction of 1,500 square foot gas station and convenience store. 577 Holly Lane, construction of a 2,250 square foot full-service diner. 211 Ferry Boulevard, construction of mixed-use apartments buildings, 45 residential units, and the first floor is retail. That's the one that has the green Tyvek around it. 775 and 975 Lordship Boulevard, construction of nearly 170,000 square foot distribution warehouse. We have some business and commercial property updates. Sikorsky contracted the U.S. Marine Corps for more than $168 million on December 15th to purchase materials needed to build 21 new King Stallion CH-53K aircraft. That work and contract will be done in Stratford and is expected to be completed in 2025. On December 19th, the company won 2 more awards from the Navy, adding up to $29.4 million. More than 84% of the work will take place in Stratford, with an expected end date of December 2024. Sikorsky was also awarded a contract for $8.5 million for the company's continued maintenance of the Navy's VH-92A helicopters, 40% of that work will be done in Stratford, and the project is expected to be completed in 2026. Colonial Square Plaza in Stratford Center sold to Colonial Center CT LLC of New York for $1.35 million on December 19th. Our Celebrate Stratford first event of the year will be Restaurant Week, and that will be February 24th through March 1st. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go through the mayor's appointments for commissions next. Longbrook Park Commission, Christopher Green is the chairman, Caitlin Shake is the vice chairman, Paul Aurelia is a councilman, James McGuire reappointed for January 9th, 2025, and Louis DeCilio will be replacing Martha Boddington, also January 9th through 2026. Booth Park Commission, Carl Glad is the councilman, Caitlin Shake is the councilwoman, Jim Connor will be replacing Louis DeCilio, effective 1/9/2026. Maureen Millward is reappointed 1/9/2026, and Raymond Vicola is reappointed 1/9/2026. Roosevelt Forest, Alan Llewellyn is councilman. Ellen Skirba Carey reappointment through January 9th, 2025. Ed Bitsko, January reappointment for January 10th, 2026. Peter Miraconda, reappointment January 10th, 2026. Bob Ford, reappointment January 10th, 2027. Peggy Nightingale, reappointed and is replacing the vacant seat of Alan Llewellyn. Her expiration is January 10th, 2025. And reappointment of Dan Ruskin, alternate, January 10th, 2025. Short Beach Commission is T. Brian O'Connor, councilman, and Christopher Green, councilman. Redevelopment Agency is Anthony Nazardo and Desmond Nisdy. Economic and Community Development Commission, Carl Glad, councilman, Anthony Afrier, councilman. Community Development Block Grant Subcommittee, Alvin O'Neill, councilman and chairman, Jason Santee, Anthony Afrier, councilman, Carrie Whittam, councilwoman, and David Harden. Conservation Commission, Renee Gibson, councilwoman, Joe Karipsky, reappointed through September 30th, 2027. Historic District Commission, Robert Atkins to replace Ron Tickey, expiration May 11th, 2025. Casimir Mazira, reappointed through May 11th, 2026. Megan Booth, reappointed as an alternate, May 14th, 2025. Short Beach Commission, T. Brian O'Connor, councilman, Christopher Green, councilman. Fair Rent Commission, Ivy Royster and Corinne Montaniero. Commission on Aging, and this is not required for council confirmation, Minerva Torres replacing Loretta Krasansky. And the Architectural Review Board, also not required for council confirmation. Shannon Hovan, reappointed through January 1st, 2025. John Zabel, reappointed through January 1st, 2027. Steve Law, reappointed January 1st, 2026. James Millward, reappointed for January 1st, 2027. And Tom Sarkowitz, reappointed for January 1st, 2025. And that is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. We move on to questions for the mayor. Are there any questions for the mayor?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Madam Mayor.
Ms. Shake.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. So this is the first council, my third term, where the pony has arrived and the list, the section 7.6 of confirmation of mayoral appointments this time included the list of each commission that you just read off with your appointments, but it did not include any names. Through the last several weeks of negotiations between Mr. Llewellyn, myself, and Mr. Glad as chairman, we were trying to come to a compromise on having the council members be on said committees for council. However, we were not able to look at the entire picture because we were planning on being able to hopefully discuss it this weekend when the pony had arrived, because we didn't know what other said mayoral appointments you were thinking of wanting us to be on. Because of that, we weren't able to then go back and say, maybe we need to move, said council person off of said committee so that they can do the mayoral appointment, or they would decline and say that they cannot actually be on one of the mayoral appointments. That being said, that's my first question as to why for the first time there was no list of names. My second question is the obvious one. So the language for the Longbrook Park Commission is that the council person who resides with the park in their district is automatically chair, which poses such a unique situation because after I was redistricted, District 7 now has Longbrook Park in it. So to delineate which council person, either Mr. Green in District 2, who also has Longbrook Park, or myself to be automatic chair versus vice chair and vice versa. So I'm curious how you were able to come to the conclusion of the chairmanship for Longbrook Park. So 2 questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councilwoman. As the mayor and making the appointments, I took into advice your communication with Councilman Llewellyn of those who wanted interest in certain things, certain commissions, appointments, and acted accordingly if there was availability. Secondly, with regard to the Longbrook Park Commission, a majority of Longbrook Park is in District 2. Hence, according with the charter, that's why I named Councilman Green as the chair. But I'm happy to go through the town attorney's office and ask for an opinion for the next council meeting.
Are there other questions for the mayor? Mr. Green.
Through the chair to the mayor, looking at the January 22 minutes, which is the last meeting that would be commensurate with this, the first of the term, the committees were listed ahead of time in the pony, and I do think, as Caitlin mentioned, that gave the public and the council a lot more room to understand and be prepared for this. My first question in relation to that, if it's not going to come in the pony, and if it is coming in your report, which you're reading off, is it possible for the mayor's report to be provided to us in advance and in writing? Because there's a lot that you went through, and we're struggling and scribbling it down and trying to follow up. If that's something you could do, that might be a workaround if you're not able to provide it in time for the pony. And my second question, also looking back to the 22 minutes and looking at the commissions, one of the commissions that I didn't see in the agenda or hear from you for appointments that has a vacancy and has an expired term member is the Ethics Commission. And I was curious if there's a reason that we're allowing an expired term and a vacant seat on that commission at this time. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. The Ethics Commission, I believe the code calls for the council to seek members to serve in the Ethics Commission. I believe the council clerk is in the process of creating that advertisement, and once that is done, then we'll review the applications and then move forward accordingly. And on the January 2022 agenda, I know the minutes would have the record of it, but I don't recall providing a list in the agenda.
Mr. Green with another question.
Just according to the website, when I looked at the agenda for that meeting, what I saw was the list of the, I don't know if it's a jumbled record, but the record seemed to indicate that was there.
Any other questions for the mayor?
No, but I would be interested in the Ethics Committee when you make a decision to put it out there.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake.
Thank you. To Madam Mayor, again, sorry for the redundancy, but for Longbrook Park, the current composition, as I've been chair for the last 4 years, of the electorate membership, there were 2 electorates from District 7. There were 2 electorates from District 2, in addition to the 3 council members. Of the electorates, Ms. Bodington resides in District 7. Mr. DeCilio resides in District 2. So in the composition of the said commission, why would we not, or is there a reason as to why the replacement would not be someone from District 7?
Through you, Chair, to Councilwoman Shake. Ms. Boddington resigned, Mr. DeCilio applied, and I appointed him.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake, we'll see if there are some other questions from
Sure.
other members first.
Sorry.
That's okay. Are there any other questions for the mayor? All right, seeing none, Ms. Shake.
Thank you for your answer, Madam Mayor. But my question was, and yes, Ms. Bodington did resign, but in the composition of representation for Longbrook Park, just historically, it has been 2 electorates from District 7 and then 2 electorates from District 2, plus the 3 said council person, whoever is elected. So yes, it is your discretion, but just in past practice so that there are people. Are you saying that there was no one else in the last several years that applied for Longbrook Park? Is that, just so I'm clear?
Is that that's the question? Okay.
Through you, Chair. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Ms. Boddington just resigned and Mr. DeCilio applied, and I appointed him. Ms. Boddington is a Republican, Mr. DeCilio is a Republican. There's other things besides, and actually, we never took into account where someone resides to be on the commission. That may have been your experience in the last 2 years or 4 years, but that has not been my experience in the last 6 years. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Any other questions for the mayor? If not, Madam Mayor, I just want to say that you mentioned the MLK event, and Mr. Afrahi will be a presenter there, so I'd like to encourage everyone to go see Mr. Afrahi speak there. We'll move on to the town attorney's report. Mr. Hodgson.
Thank you, Chairman. The report for the month of December is that the town received 3 personal injury claims and 4 property damage claims. The town attorney's office also recovered a total of $2,500 in overdue taxes, recovered $22,000 in a welfare lien, and recovered $2,500 in a blight lien. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodgson. I'll move on to agenda item number 5, unfinished business. There is none. Agenda item number.
Chairman?
Mr. O'Neill?
Yeah, is there any questions to the town attorneys?
No, there are not.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item number 6, ordinances and resolutions. 6.1, there are no ordinances. Move on to 6.2, resolutions. We have a resolution 6.2.1.
Mr. Chairman, on resolution 6.2.1, I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution, being that this is in my district. I definitely approve. And so now, therefore, be it resolved by the town of the council of the town of Stratford that it is cognizant of the town's grant application to Fairfield County Community Foundation for funds to support the South End Community Center's leaders in training program, and 2, that it hereby authorizes, directs, and empowers the mayor, Laura R. Hoydick, or her designee, to execute and deliver such grant applications, including and amendments thereto, or any and all related documents necessary to apply for and obtain funding from Fairfield County Community Foundation, and to implement the program once the award is secured in the name of and on behalf of the town of Stratford.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Green seconds. Mr. O'Neill has moved. Mr. Green has seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The resolution is approved unanimously. Move on to agenda item 6.2.2.
Mr. Chairman. I too, on 6.2.2, I'd like to make a motion to accept that resolution. Again, this kind of borders my district and also the 4th district. So whereas the Connecticut Department of Economic Development and Community Development, CTDECED, is authorized to extend financial assistance to the municipalities in the form of grants, whereas the funding has been made possible from round 4 of the CTDECD Community Investment Fund, the CIF, and whereas the town of Stratford extends funds for road improvements, including but not limited to accessibility, enhancement, implementation of safety measures, and streetscaping, and whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the town of Stratford, along with their project partner, the city of Bridgeport, enter into an agreement with the CTDECD in the amount of $12,352,032. All right, 32. Okay, $250. In which includes the leverage of $5,200,000 in previously approved and allocated town of Stratford funding from the State Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, the LOTCIP, for the Connecticut, the CT-130 roundabout project. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Stratford that one, that it is cognizant of the town's joint grant application with the City of Bridgeport to DECD's Round 4 of the Community Investment Fund for funds to improve the Stratford Avenue corridor, CT-130, from Seaview Avenue in the City of Bridgeport to Main Street in the town of Stratford. And 2, that it hereby authorizes, directs, and empowers the mayor, Laura R. Hoydick, or her designee to execute and to deliver each grant application, including any amendments thereto, and or any and all related documents necessary to apply for and obtain funding from Round 4 of the Community Investment Fund, CTF, and to implement the work on Stratford Avenue, CT-130, once the award is secured in the name of and on behalf of the town of Stratford.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to second that.
Mr. O'Connor seconds. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Afraidy.
Point of information. I would like to have a disclosure of the names of the head of the Bridgeport department heads that will be helping to administer this grant with the town of Stratford.
Yeah, we don't have that information right now, so we'll provide it when we have it.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right. Move on to agenda item number 7, new business. 7.1, establishment of council committees. Pursuant to the rules, we're establishing committees. 7.1.1.
Mr. Chairman, I move that it be resolved that a 7-member Building Needs Committee consisting of 3 council members and 4 other electors of the town of Stratford be and is hereby established with membership as indicated below. Council members Mr. O'Neill, Ms. Sheik, Mr. Llewellyn, electorate members Daniel Sempt, Bob DiLorenzo, Len Petroselli, and Rich Fredette.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Moved by Mr. Llewellyn and seconded by Mr. O'Neill. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? We'll take a roll call vote on that then.
Aye. Oh, sorry.
No. Nay.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Nay.
Mr. Frier,
Nay.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad,
Aye.
6-4.
Sorry. The motion is approved. The Building Needs Committee is created 6-4 with the named individuals. I, as chair, appoint Alvin O'Neill as chairman of that committee. 7.1.2, Public Works Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put the Public Works Committee, let it be resolved that the 5-member Public Works Committee consisting of 5 council members be and is hereby established with the membership as indicated below. Councilmember Mr. O'Neill, Ms. Whitman, Ms. Shake, Mr. Llewellyn, and Mr. Aurelia.
Mr. Chairman, I second.
It's been moved by Mr. O'Neill, seconded by Mr. Llewellyn. All in favor, or is there any discussion? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Nay.
Nay,
Nay.
Mr. Frier,
No.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad,
Aye.
6-4.
The motion to approve the Public Works Committee passes 6-4. I, as chair, appoint Alan Llewellyn as chairman of that committee. 7.1.3, Board of Education Liaison Committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Aurelia?
I move that it be resolved that a 7-member Board of Education Liaison Committee consisting of 4 council members and 3 Board of Education members be and is hereby established with the following membership. Council members Mr. Green, Ms. Whittam, Ms. Shake, and Mr. Glad. Board of Ed members Lisa Carroll Fabian, Sean Kennedy, and Bill O'Brien.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Mr. Aurelia and seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Nay.
Mr. Frier,
No.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad,
Aye.
6-4.
The motion to create the Board of Education Liaison Committee passes 6-4. I, as the chair, appoint Carrie Whittam as the chair of that committee. 7.1.4, Ordinance Committee.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.1.4, that the ordinance committee be the 10-member ordinance committee consisting of all council members, be and is hereby established.
I'll second that.
Moved by Mr. O'Connor, seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Roll call vote.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Nay.
Mr. Frier,
Aye.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad,
Aye.
7-3.
The motion passes 7-3 to create an ordinance committee. As chair, I appoint Alan Llewellyn as chair of that committee. 7.1.5, Public Safety Committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Luan.
Thank you. I move that it be resolved that a 9-member Public Safety Committee consisting of 3 council members and 6 other electors of the town of Stratford be and is hereby established with membership as indicated below. Council members Mr. Green, Mr. Afriye, Mr. Aurelia, electorate members Chris Ciusi, James Duffy, Bill Perillo, John Dobis, Jim Wiltsey, and Dave Harden.
I'd like to second that.
Moved by Mr. Llewellyn, seconded by Mr. O'Connor. Is there any discussion? Mr. Green.
I just, at this point, going through, want to make clear what I've seen so far. I think we have 8 committees to go through and appoint chairs, and I understand you, as the council chair, have the discretion to appoint the chair of each of those commissions. We have gone through 4 committees. We have 1 Democrat, we have 3 Republicans. We also, in the public comment for the electorate members, had a mention there as well of a lack of diversity, both in the representation of our chairs on these committees and in a lack of representation of our electorate members. I don't think it's good for the town. We also, of these 4, we have 1 person already appointed twice. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to approve the committee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mr. Green.
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Opposed.
Mr. Afriye.
No.
Ms. Whittam.
Aye.
Ms. Shake. Mr. Llewellyn.
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia. Aye. Chairman Glad.
Aye.
6-4.
The motion passes 6-4 to create a public safety committee. As chairman, I appoint Paul Aurelia as chair of that committee. Move on to agenda item 7.2, playgrounds. 7.2.1, Chapel School Playground.
Mr. Chairman, I move that it be resolved that the Chapel School Playground project to replace the existing playground structure and add a pour-in-place rubber surface utilizing CT State Contract number 17 PSX 0081 in the amount of $220,314 of adopted fiscal year 24 CIP bond funds be and is hereby approved, and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to enter into a contract for such in form acceptable to the town attorney.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Llewellyn, seconded by Ms. Shake. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, move to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 7.2.2, Lyric Park Playground.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Whittam.
I move that it be resolved that the Lyric Park Playground project to replace existing playground structure, replace existing swing set structure, and add a loose rubber mulch surface for safety, utilizing Connecticut State Contract number 17 PSX 0081 in the amount of $123,049 of adopted fiscal year 24 CIP funds be and is hereby approved, and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to enter into a contract for such in a form acceptable to the town attorney.
I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Whittam, seconded by Mr. Aurelia. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, move to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Agenda item 7.3, park projects. 7.3.1, George Force Park.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, I'd like to, since this again is in my district, I'd like it to be resolved that the George Force Park project to be refurbished handball and basketball courts using post-tension concrete, utilizing Southwell contract number 06051 8.8-AST and AEPA-CREC contract number 020-A in the amount of $452,490 of adopted fiscal year 24 CIP bond funds be and is hereby approved and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to enter into a contract for such informed acceptability to the town attorney.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Gibson seconds. Moved by Mr. O'Neill, seconded by Ms. Gibson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, let's see, agenda item 7.4, Stratford High School additions and renovation project.
I move to.
Oh, we have two. Mr. Green.
I move to accept item 7.4, resolve that the payment of Sustainable Engineering Solutions, Inc., invoice number 3750 in the amount of $1,400 be and is hereby approved.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Green, seconded by Mr. Llewellyn. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Agenda item 7.5, appointments. Tax Partnership Screening Committee. That's appointed by the council chair. I hereby appoint Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Green, and myself, Mr. Glad, to the Tax Partnership Screening Committee. 7.5.2.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Aurelia.
I move that it be resolved that the appointments of council members Green, O'Neill, Gibson, Shake, Glad, Llewellyn, and Aurelia to the pension board be and are hereby approved.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Moved by Mr. Aurelia, seconded by Mr. O'Neill. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? We have to take a roll call vote there.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Opposed.
I'm sorry,
Opposed.
Mr. Frier,
No.
Ms. Whittam,
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Oh, I approve.
Ms. Shake,
No.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad.
Aye.
6-4.
The motion passes 6-4 to seat the pension board with 7 council members. 7.5.3, Parks and Recreation Committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. O'Connor.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Parks and Recreation Committee with the council members concurrent with their term, that the appointments of council members Aurelia and Gibson to the Parks and Recreation Committee be and are hereby approved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Mr. O'Connor, seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Take a roll call vote.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Nay.
Mr. Frier,
No.
Ms. Whittam,
Aye.
Ms. Shake, Mr. Llewellyn,
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia,
Aye.
Chairman Glad.
Aye.
6-4.
The motion passes 6-4 to appoint Mr. Aurelia and Ms. Gibson to the Parks and Recreation Committee. Agenda item 7.5.4, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake.
Thank you. I'd like to motion that Andrea Lynch of Augusta Terrace is hereby appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, commencing immediately for the unexpired portion of the term of Renee Gibson, or until the next regular town election, whichever shall be sooner.
I second that.
That's moved by Ms. Shake, seconded by Ms. Gibson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Chair says aye. Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item 7.5.5, Board of Assessment Appeals.
Mr. Chairman, I move that it be resolved that Karina Krishunas Ball of McGrath Court be and is hereby appointed to the Board of Assessment Appeals to the expired seat of Richard Brown with a term that expires in January of 2026.
I second that.
Moved by Mr. Llewellyn, seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Chair says aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. 7.5.6, Stratford Library Association.
Mr. Chairman, I move that it be resolved that Don Petrimus of Torcy Street be and is hereby reappointed to the Stratford Library Board with a term that expires December 31st, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Whittam, thank you. Moved by Mr. Llewellyn, seconded by Ms. Whittam. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? One opposed. Ms. Shake opposed. 7.6, confirmation of mayoral appointments.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Llewellyn?
I move that the town council approve the confirmation of the mayoral appointments.
A second.
Mr. O'Connor seconds. Is there any discussion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake?
Thank you. The Community Development Block Subcommittee, I believe, Mayor Hoydick, if you could just reiterate the council or the composition of your full appointment for that. I think I missed one.
Madam Mayor, recognized.
Thank you, Chair. The Community Development Block Grant Subcommittee is Alvin O'Neill, Chairman, Jason Santee, Anthony Afrier, Carrie Whittam, and David Harden.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake?
Thank you. So, correct me if I'm wrong, the zones of CDBG of, I don't know if Tara's here. She's not. The zones for CDBG, the majority of area of where those, the majority of the land area of where the CDBG funding is applied could be districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and I guess now part of District 6. My question is, with the majority of the land being occupied for that particular zoning of districts 3, 4, and 5, why Ms. Gibson for District 4 was not considered for that particular appointment?
Madam Mayor, recognized if you'd like to respond.
Thank you for the question, Councilwoman Shake. Low, moderate income communities are throughout town. They are in District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Environmental justice zones are in 7. Besides, the areas are in 7 where you would not think there would be, and 2. Longbrook Park has environmental justice zones. So this appointment was made accordingly with the people that I thought would be best suited for it.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Shake, let's see if someone else has a question first.
Yes.
Or discussion first. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Green?
So just to reiterate, we are now going to approve in bulk the mayor's appointments without having actually them in writing before us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I do have a question in regards to District 4 and the CDB.
Ms. Gibson, you're recognized.
Okay. Just in regards to District 4, I mean, we do have the flooding, and we have quite a bit of low-income people there. I would be interested in being on that committee if possible, but just wanted to put that on the table. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Here, Mr. Chairman, thank you. To Madam Mayor, so Mr. Hardin lives in District 4. I'm just curious as to, you said the best people for the job. However, we have Districts 3 and 5 and 6 listed as council appointments. When Ms. Gibson said that she would like to also serve on that. Is there an opportunity for a change, or is it set in stone?
Madam Mayor, it's over to you if you would like to respond.
Thank you for the question, Councilwoman, and thank you through the council chair. It is not set in stone. However, experience matters. And right now, the only person on that appointed committee is Councilman O'Neill and Mr. Santee and Mr. Hardin, who have the experience. If Councilman Afriyie would like to come off, I'm happy to put Ms. Gibson on.
No, we'll keep Anthony on. If you think that that's enough experience, fine. I have experience in low income for many years in community service, but perhaps not on that particular board. But I think we're both set.
Mr. Afriyie.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, yes, you can take me off and replace me with Renee. Thank you.
Through the council chair, thank you, Councilman. I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
So,
thank you, thank you.
So if the change has to happen, how do we document that? Because it's not what I reported on.
I think since the council has not voted to confirm those appointments, Your Honor, as mayor, appropriately just restated her appointment. So now what is before you is the approval as the mayor just amended her original appointment earlier this evening, replacing Ms. Gibson, I'm sorry, Mr. Afriyie with Ms. Gibson.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Mayor, would you like to restate the committee?
Surely, Council Chair. I almost said representative. Councilman O'Neill, Councilman Gibson, Councilwoman Whittam, Jason Santee, and David Hardin.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the mayor's appointments. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to approve.
Oh, through you, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Ms. Shake.
I just want to make it absolutely clear that I was not asking for Mr. Afriyie to come off. The ask was for Ms. Gibson to be added if that was possible, not for Districts 3, 4, or 5 to not have representation as the majority and density of where CDBG funding is applied. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor.
For the council's benefit, you may not know, but you all get to vote after the subcommittee reports back through you for the approval of the CDBG funding.
Thank you. We'll move to approve the mayoral appointments. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? I'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mr. Green.
Nay.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Aye.
Mr. Afriyie.
No.
Ms. Whittam.
Aye.
Ms. Shake.
Just a point of clarification, this is to accept the entire list of mayoral appointments, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, I oppose for that, yeah. Thank you. That's understanding.
You can change your.
Could you do it again?
If someone wants to change the vote before you announce it, you can do that.
Yes. So we'll take the votes as they were. We can amend the votes. So I
think
believe.
Ms. Shake.
Ms. Shake.
No.
Mr. Llewellyn.
Aye.
Mr. Aurelia.
Aye.
Chairman Glad.
Aye. Is there anyone who would like to change their vote? Is there anyone who would like to change their vote?
I would like to change my vote because I thought we were voting on one thing, but we're voting on all of the appointments by the mayor, which we weren't informed about fully, so I'm opposed.
Thank you.
6-4.
The vote is 6-4. The motion passes to confirm the mayoral appointments. Agenda item number 8, the motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Whittam.
I'll second.
Mr. Green seconds that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We adjourn at 8:09.